about the problems and the solution and the benefits. So, according to the Denver Post, the 1994 federal law requiring criminal background checks of gun buyers applies only to sales involving licensed gun store owners, which means this does not involve sales at a gun show. So, according to the Violence Policy Center, the guns that Eric and Dylan had included the Intratec Tech DC-9, the assault pistol, the Hi-Point 9mm carbine, the Savage 67H pump-action shotgun, and a Savage 311D 12-gauge shotgun. Now, 3 of these guns were traced back to your Tanner gun show. The specific gun, the Tech DC-9, was actually made illegal in 1994. So how did this gun even show up in your gun show? Well, there's a ton of unregulated gun sellers in your gun show because it is not illegal to be an unregulated gun seller. According to the Denver Post, federal regulations require a licensed firearms dealer to have a business location with regular hours. Failing to operate the business as licensed can be grounds for revocation, but there are 104,000 licensed firearm dealers in the U.S., or 130 for every ATF inspector, and a gun store that rarely opens may go unnoticed. So in the case where where Dylan and Eric got their guns, they got it from a vendor named Carlos Garcia, who sold illegally at a gun show. He was a vendor and he didn't have an actual store. So Eric and Dylan had 2 people over 18 buy their guns, but did they really need to do that? According to the Denver Post, federal law forbids gun dealers to sell shotguns or rifles to anyone under 18. It also forbids straw sales to someone obviously acquiring guns for people ineligible to buy them. But these prohibitions apply only to licensed firearm dealers. In fact, Klebold and Harris did not need an 18-year-old's help to buy shotguns or a semi-automatic rifle from a private gun show. Legally, they could have bought all 3 themselves, which I think is pretty scary, thinking that Eric is a clinical psychopath. So, tracing back to your gun show has many liabilities. Of course, it hurts your reputation, and there's also grounds for lawsuits. So now I'm going to talk about psychopathy. So according to Merriam-Webster's dictionary, a psychopath is defined as a person who is mentally ill, who does not care about other people, and who is usually dangerous or violent. And according to a newspaper called The Slate, Harris was not merely a troubled kid. The psychiatrists say he was a psychopath, and these are top psychiatrists in the country who looked over his records after he had died. So some of the telltale signs of psychopathy are lack of empathy, thinking you're above everyone else, and an extremely high intelligence rate. According to the Telegraph, so here is the test I'm hoping to implement, and it's called the PCLR test, and it is a self-psychology test of psychopathy. It was made by a psychologist named Robert Hare, and according to the Telegraph, Hare says, "It stuns me as much as it did when I started 40 years ago that it is possible to have people who are so emotionally disconnected that they can function as if other people are objects to be manipulated and destroyed without any concern." So how the PCLR works is it's on point systems. So there's 20 questions, and you can get 2 points for each question. If you get a 0, it means you disagree, 1 means you mildly agree, and 2 means you fully agree. Now, if you score a 30 or above, you're technically labeled a clinical psychopath. However, if we did implement this test, we're going to have to tweak some of the questions, because some of the questions give away psychopathy, saying like, if you answer this on this question, you'll be labeled as a psychopath. So, here is, okay, well, I had a lovely, this is the test, and it's very cool. It asks questions that usually show off characteristics of psychopath, like, do you get bored easily? Do you find happiness in feeling other people's disappointments, and questions like that. It was just the whole test, but not working, so later. Okay, so now we know what the test is, we have to figure out how to implement the test. So the first way to do this is to make sure that every vendor at this gun show has an electronic device, such as an iPad or a laptop, or something that they can put the test on. This way it is a lot more efficient. They can just come and go, the people can take the test, and in 5 minutes it'll be done. Also, you can apply a system onto the computer or the iPad, so people can record what has happened, like the test results. So the point system is that if you score above a 25, you have to leave. You're no longer allowed to buy a gun. And also, the electronics make it so that the people who register have to be regulated gun dealers. So they cannot have unregulated gun dealers to register on the system. And after you take the test, you will be in the system forever. So any one of the vendors can look through the system, and it'll be in chronological order, so name, and then they can find your score. And so the different point systems are, if you score between 25 and a 30, you will have to be asked to leave, and you can buy a gun eventually if you go to a clinical psychologist and get a test result done, and the psychologist has to email us saying that yes, they're okay, they can buy a gun. If you score below a 25, then you can automatically buy a gun, but at the end of your test, you have to answer about a one sentence saying why you wanted the gun and what you're going to use it for. And if you score above a 25, you will be asked to leave, and no matter if you get a psychologist or not consent, you will not be allowed to buy a gun, because that is in the rule of psychopathy. And here on the right is a little diagram of characteristics of a psychopath and characteristics of a regular person. So some of the benefits are that the registered vendors will have to register themselves in the system, so that way your reputation will advance, and the uneasiness customers have from having unregistered vendors will be gone, because all the vendors will be registered. The lawsuits will be a lot less, because you are going through so many steps that they'll have less reasons to sue you. You'll get a higher reputation, because people will admire that you are trying to be safer, and obviously this will actually help the safety of gun control. And what you need to do as the Tanner Gun Show is you guys need to make sure that all the vendors have the electronic devices necessary and have the software on their electronic devices so that they can take the test. All right, so to wrap up my presentation, what happened on April 20th, 1999 will obviously never be forgotten. There were 13 deaths, 24 injuries, 2 boys and 4 guns, and all of this could have been prevented. So some of the benefits of implementing this test will be less lawsuits, the guns will end up in the wrong hands, your reputation will go up, the safety will go up, all the vendors will need to be registered, and everything will end up a lot better. So like I said, as long as you supply every vendor with electronics and make sure they have the right software on their electronics in order to make the test, you'll be doing your part. So it only takes a few steps to turn the gun control into 360. So thank you. I hope my presentation was helpful for you, and I hope that you will start seeing progress right away from implementing this test.